Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're taking those dry, standard textbook definitions and transforming them into a pretty fascinating journey. We're going to see exactly how these invisible technological forces literally shape our daily decisions. So if you've ever wondered how the digital world actually operates beneath the surface, you are definitely in the right place. Let's get into it. Okay, let's just quickly run through today's roadmap. We've got three main stops. First step, tech that runs our world. Then, data versus information, and finally, why information matters. We're basically going to track a single fact from the moment it's processed to the final decisions it empowers. All right, part one, tech that runs our world, the engine and the highway. Let's look at the two fundamental pillars of our digital lives, starting with the engine itself. So, information technology, or IT for short, this encompasses all the hardware, software, and networks used to create, process, and store information. It's a highly active process. You can really think of it as the engine doing all the heavy lifting. It's the core engine that drives absolutely everything we do digitally. And you fire up this engine every single day. We're talking about incredibly common tools here: your laptop, your mobile phone, printers, and all those software apps you use. Whenever you tap a screen, open an app, or hit print, you are putting that IT engine to work. But here's the thing. What good is a massive, powerful engine if you don't have a road to drive on, right? Well, that brings us to ICT, or Information and Communication Technology. This involves the actual transfer and use of all kinds of information, enabling people to communicate and access data from literally anywhere using the internet. So if IT is the engine processing the goods, ICT is the highway system transferring it all across the globe. This brilliantly illustrates how ICT powers the modern connected experiences we completely rely on now. Working from home, distance learning, e-banking, getting government services online, video conferencing, and of course, online shopping. I mean, none of this is possible without the communication part of technology. ICT is simply how we share what the IT engine produces. Now, to keep this crystal clear for your exams, just remember this contrast. IT is all about creation and storage. That's your hardware and software. ICT, on the other hand, focuses entirely on communication and sharing, using networks to move all that data around. Moving right along to part two, data versus information, the raw material versus the product. Now that we have our engine and our highway, what exactly is traveling on them? Imagine I just hand you this string of characters: XYZ1234, MG Road, 84084, and a random 10-digit number. If you just receive that out of nowhere, it's just a jumbled, meaningless mess of characters. You're probably sitting there right now thinking, why are we talking about random numbers and letters? What does this even mean? Well, that confusion? That is exactly the point. What I just gave you was raw data. Data is any unorganized character, text, or number that just lacks meaning on its own. It's the unrefined raw material. By itself, it's pretty much completely useless. But let's see what happens when our IT engine steps in to organize, interpret, and format those raw facts into a finished product, which we call information. Information is simply data that has been structured so that it actually becomes meaningful and useful to a human being. When we take that exact same string of text and process it, aha! Suddenly those random strings make perfect sense. It's a person's contact details. We instantly see we have a contact profile for someone named XYZ living at 255 MG Road in Umbar with a zip code and a phone number. Just by organizing the data, we've created real meaning. For your exams, you absolutely need to understand this contrast clearly. Data is the raw, unorganized input. Information is the highly organized, meaningful output used for decision-making. Essentially, data goes into the machine and information comes out. Grounding this in reality, let's consider a few everyday examples. Say a student gets a 78, an 85, and a 91. That is just raw data. The information is that the student scored an 85% overall. Or think about a hospital. They take random numbers like a temperature, a blood pressure reading, and a pulse, and transform them into the incredibly vital information that a patient is healthy. A school takes a roll number, a name, and some marks, and turns it all into a report card. This transformation is happening everywhere, all the time. Which brings us to part three: why information matters, the power of decision. Why do we bother going through all this effort to turn raw data into structured information? The answer boils down to one word: action. Information is the essential fuel we need for short-term, daily choices, long-term plans, and massive strategic decisions for organizations. It drives everything, from a quick daily choice like, deciding what to wear based on your weather app, to massive long-term strategic plans for a multinational company. Our source material actually hits the nail on the head with this quote. Since we live in the information age, information technology has become an important part of everyday life. We are literally living in an age defined by this very process, making it the absolute foundation of our modern world. Without it, everything just grinds to a halt. All right, let's do a quick rapid-fire revision to lock this all in so you can absolutely crush those exams. Remember, IT creates and processes. ICT communicates. Data is raw facts, and information is processed, actionable data. Whether you're asked for basic definitions or deeper comparisons on your test, you now have the exact framework you need to score perfectly. You've mastered the journey of a fact from raw data to strategic information, and that is a huge step. But it does leave us with one massive mystery for our next explainer. What exactly is happening inside the computer's architecture to make this magic possible? How does the physical hardware actually do it? Keep that question in the back of your mind, and I will see you next time.